But you know what?
All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. All right. Trish, just so you know, doesn't count, I guess, because the governor rescinded whatever today. Yesterday, when did she do it, Brett?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
She didn't renew it.
No, she didn't renew it, whatever, just so you know. All right, so we do have a quorum, so minutes to approve for August.
Move it.
Second.
All right, Christina, I don't know which one he was.
Cecile, second.
All right, anybody want anything changed about them? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, we have one appointment, Donald Slocum from LAC for the Water and Sewer Authority. Don's moved it. Can we have a second?
Second.
Second, Christina. Any questions on that? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Janine, I think I see us. Janine's on the computer.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. You have my report. Carl's not available tonight. He's officially the director. He's asked me to just sit in to see if you have any questions and I can relay them to him. Thank you for moving forward with Don Slocum. I think he'll be a great addition to our board.
I got anything for Janine? Jim?
Yes. Good evening, Janine. How you doing?
Good, Jim. How are you?
Good. So are you officially retired?
I'm not officially. I've just stepped back as director. My
Okay.
paperwork is being filed, but we're still in that transition and I'm going to be staying on to help Carl for a while until and work with the staff to move things forward.
Transition. Great. Thank you. District 1, the Sterling double billing thing. Are you still working on that?
Yeah, we're going to be meeting with the assessor up there and it's truly, I mean, that's kind of a not a good way to, I guess that's not a good word to use, but they're billed, vacant parcels are all billed. So we're trying to find a way to step back from billing the full half a unit as in the district formation. They're truly not double billed, but you know what the situation is up there with the town line and
poor phrasing, but on my part, I agree.
yeah, so it's created, quite the problem. But when we went through a state comptroller review a few years ago and these were found that not being billed, we started billing them. So it just creates a lot of confusion. So we're going to step back and we're going to work with your new assessor to take a look to see what we can do and see what building lots are actually, or which lots are actually buildable and which ones are not, and try to come up with a sequence that will fit, not only the district formation, but to be equitable for the people that cannot build at this time. In the future with the small, the small homes and the small buildings that people can make, maybe that would change, but right now we'll go with whatever the rulings are now for the non-buildable lots. But we have a lot of vacant parcels, so we can't just say, all vacant lots are only going to be like a 0.1 EDU or whatever. So we're going to be working with your new assessor on that. And I've asked the staff here, a couple of the clerks to go with me because they need to see how this all works too. So we can get this finalized.
And how long have you been with Water and Sewer?
It'll be 20 years in February.
Thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All set.
Anybody else for Janine? I've got one for you, Janine.
Sure.
Did you get anywheres with looking at for a piece of parcel of property for building?
I've been told that there was one of the members of our board and a legislator, and that Carl is working on that. I think that they did go out and take a look at it, but I'm not sure if they met. I've not been invited to those meetings. So I'm not sure where that stands right now.
Lydia?
There was a meeting yesterday for the parcel potentially in the town of True. What's the name of the group, Mr. Duckett, that met? Your committee?
Oh, it's the real property group.
Thank you. The real property team met with me and Mr. Rhinefleisch, I believe was there.
Okay, it might have been maybe Andy Rhineflesh then, because I know that Carl has been in training in Cortland all week. But I did not know there was a meeting, so hopefully they've taken a look at it and we can see where it can go from there. But I did relay to the board that at the last Public Works meeting, they suggested that we go through this committee first and see what's available and see if this is actual useful property. So I've not heard back from that group. And I shouldn't. Carl is now the director, so.
Anybody else for Janine? All right, thank you, Janine.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Janine.
Thanks, Jenny.
Bye.
All right, Kyle, you got anything for us?
A normal month, we did about 150 gas pumps. Difference, D&L truck stop got all new pumps, 18 new pumps, meters. So that's all up and running now. Page Trucking in Cato, put in a new large truck scale behind the recycling plant. It's doing farm produce stuff, getting ready for that sell part of it.
I got anything for Kyle? All right, thank you, Kyle. Gary, Buildings and Grounds.
Okay, just update you, you have my report, but I'll update you on a few things. Item 4 under the admin part is the chiller's down. As you can tell, it's still down. We're hoping that it'll be up by the end of the week. We'll see. They've got the chiller apart now, or most of it apart, and we're checking availability of parts. So we'll see what happens with that. Under the surplus furniture, found out that Auctions International, their contract had expired. So even though they came and took pictures, they couldn't list the stuff. So basically what we're doing, I'm taking another look at the stuff that, and there won't be an award of that auctioning ability until probably October, November at this point, because they're gonna be bidding it. So what I did is I went through and I'm scrapping the real junk for metal scrap, just so I can get rid of it. A lot of it's just plain junk. I was hoping to have somebody buy it and come and haul it away for me, but we can't wait until January or February to be trying to get that stuff out of there. So we're getting some of it out. The good stuff we'll keep and still try to auction. In fact, I may offer it to the department heads again, just see what happens, the better stuff.
So
As far as my budget, I did want to just report to you that my overtime budget will be going over, but that's the bad news. The good news is my part-time budget is going to be well under because I can't hire anybody, which is why we're working more overtime. So
Gary, are we, if that contract is up, do we have a resolution coming to do a new contract?
that's handled by the clerk of the legislature, and she's working on it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I have in addition, unless there's any questions.
We got anything for Gary?
Andy,
Yes.
just a comment. Everybody knows this is the third week for this AC being down. And I just want to give Gary a great comment that him and his whole staff have worked day and night, literally on the weekend too. I'm in here early and Gary has a report for me every morning, and it takes a lot of time, and it's been taking a lot of time, and you've kept me abreast of everything, and I've tried to keep everybody else.
I just wish we could
Thanks.
fix it. We didn't need them to fix it, but we
Yeah.
can't, so.
But thank you. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep. Anybody else for Gary? Not all right. Thank you, Gary. Doug.
Howdy, everyone. My report is there in front of you. A couple of highlights from there. Based on our traffic estimates from the Epic Concert Series this summer, we estimate between the concert series and the movies that we ran, we had about 13,000 additional folks come to visit the park this summer. So obviously those are very well received, and we'd like to, thank, the legislature for supporting it from the beginning with the programming, and then, all of the sponsors that we had, from the Friends of Emerson to, the Prison City Brewery. They came in every week, and supported it, and a lot of the vendors that we had, both local and regional, throughout the event. So it was great to see the park used in a different way, in addition to the theaters had a great summer season as they continue. An incredible number of weddings are booked for this year and also for next year. So the park business was really up this year, which we're really excited to see. Never know after the pandemic how long it takes to recover from those, so that's great. One thing about the park that's not noted on there, although I have been receiving some quotes, is that at the beginning of the year, we had to take down the island shelter that's out there. That was a 30 by 70 shelter that's used by all of our annual events, like the Great Race and the car show. And the Rotary event that happens out there, the music event that happens. So we didn't, at the time it was condemned, we had to take it down. We didn't really have a plan for replacement. We do use it extensively. It is a revenue generating shelter for us, the largest that we have. So I would put it to this committee that I would like a suggestion of how we would like to go forward with hopefully replacing that, and whether that's a budgeted item or whether that's a separate capital project that we would want to fund. I did have a brief conversation with Lynn Marinelli about it, and it really would be up to the Public Works Committee on how we would go forward with replacing that, but it was an existing structure that I think should be replaced in our inventory at some point. So I don't know, Andy, if that's a conversation you want to have with the committee now or something you want to do offline.
Well, I mean, we can discuss it, because I think, first of all, you know, everybody, you and I spoke here earlier, I mean, everybody realizes it was condemned. We had no choice. It's obviously something that is an attraction, so to speak. I mean, it makes us money, so we've got to do something other than just a pop-up tent.
Sure.
Like you've been doing.
Yeah, thank you. We did, for the events, we don't have a structure that large. We actually did rent a tent, you know, for the window from the beginning to the end of our reservations in this year. So that's how we did accommodate the events for this year.
I don't know if it's something that we can discuss as far as ARPA goes or what, Jim?
Yeah, so, and the committee on ARPA can take a look at that, but do we know what the payback is from the revenue that was generated? Is it a 5-year payback, a 7-year payback? Can we find that information out? We must know like how many times we rented a year.
Sure.
You know, and put that against the cost, just to give us an idea.
It would be a very long window. It would be 30 years or plus, because the rental revenues for those structures are, you know, about $400 per usage. So there really isn't a large rental on it. The Parks Commission has discussed actually raising some of those rental rates, which haven't been raised in many, many years. For some of those structures, we did, you know, for example, last year raise the revenue, the rental revenue from the boat slips. We still have an extensive wait list on those. Extensive, you know, so there has been a conversation about there needs to be a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Their suggestion was actually to raise our rental rates about 50% for next year, because they haven't been touched in quite a while. So there would be an increase in those. Right now, the estimates that we have, which I do believe are relatively accurate, because as a part of the Sterling Nature Center project, we are building a shelter up there of a similar design, not necessarily scale. It's a little bit smaller. And I believe in the budget for that project, it was about $160,000 to build a shelter up there. That's with a concrete pad and a 30 by, I believe that structure is 30 by 60. The structure we took down on the island was about 30 by 70. So you're talking about roughly that size. That number was quoted in 2019.
So how quickly can you get a
Changed.
quote on that?
I'm sorry?
How quickly can you get a?
I've gotten a few that they look like they're about $180,000 without the flat work. Is basically what I've received so far from a couple of vendors in the Northeast. So it's a $215,000 to $230,000 probably project.
Okay.
Based on what I have in hand today.
So I know we're looking at Deauville for the future amphitheater. How would replacing that structure, would that change that or be a part of that at all?
Are you talking about the physical location or just how it fits into the plan? So the physical location was actually designated on the other side of the island, away from the quadrant where it currently exists, in order to open that space up for concerts.
Okay.
It kind of sits right in the middle of that. If that's the southwestern quadrant of the island, it sits basically right in the middle of the amphitheater lawn, if you will. So the fact that it's down is actually beneficial for that project that we have the grant request in currently to do the development of that quadrant of the island and move it across the other side of the island to a space that wasn't being utilized for that. So it does, the current location that the location that it would end up in is already designed into the island plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I guess the discussion for this committee would be, where do you want to see Doug put this? Do you want to see it in his regular budget? Do we want to see if the ARPA committee wants to look at it?
Meeting right after this, we can definitely.
We
do
can
that
talk
as a
about it,
discussion
but he should start by putting it in his budget.
It is in my budget request right now.
Okay, so we'll be cutting that.
That's a big number to cut, so.
And I guess the, other question is, does everybody agree that we need to replace it? I'm not asking that because I don't agree, because I think we do. But it's, if we don't, there's always the revenue that you don't see for events like that. The people who are getting gas somewhere is when they come or go after they're renting those places, they're stopping somewhere else.
Right.
If they're moving on to another county or something to do those things, then we're losing that revenue. So.
And you said it's 30 by 70?
The structure we took down is, yeah.
And we want to do
I
it
would
30 by
suggest,
70?
I would suggest using that size. I mean, 30 by 60, would that make a difference? Probably not.
By about $30,000.
By about $30,000 it would, yeah.
Yeah.
Just put it in your budget, let the ARPA folks discuss it, and I mean, we probably ought to.
So it doesn't get missed.
The only thing that bothers me, okay, putting it in the budget is, I mean, it's September now, trying to get anything done, because you're gonna want to have this for next summer.
Right, with our current material delays, as we've seen at the
Exactly.
screening project and things, it would be beneficial to have an RFP and a quote out before the end of the year,
Exactly.
because the lead time on materials is pretty extensive as of
Exactly.
today.
So,
Is there any reason that process couldn't take place just to get the quotes? I mean, we do that sometimes, not to say that it's right or wrong in the village, so we know what we should be looking for.
I could
in our
quote, but
budget.
I obviously wouldn't be able to order anything
Right.
until.
Right, but if you did an RFP, we need 60 or 90 days to approve, will they hold their price?
A lot of the companies have been reticent to it recently. They've been giving us 30 days at the most because of the price volatility.
price changes in 30 days.
Yeah, the lumber could go down.
It could go down.
Trash it.
I think I would.
Got your hand up.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. I just wanted to say that this would be an example of a reason why we need a capital plan for the county, so that this stuff doesn't keep popping up unbudgeted and unplanned for. And we've got a lot of facilities, a lot of properties, equipment around the county that we should be getting our arms around all of these things and really knowing what's to come so that we're able to plan better for it. And I also wanted to say, Doug, regarding the payback, if you could factor in the rental cost as well for the tent. I assume that wasn't cheap to have a tent on site all summer for the season, that we were carrying that cost that we wouldn't have if we built this once we have it in place. That's a factor that I think we should be looking at as well. And one other question I wanted to ask you about was the playground. I know the playground on the main part of the park is in disrepair. I don't know what the plans are for it, but that's a big draw too for families in our county that come and use the park, have picnics, things like that, as you know. And I know we have plans for a destination playground. I'm not sure where we are at with the time frame on that, but weighing priorities and stuff, I just wanted to make sure that the playground, or at least ask the question of where that playground stands, both the destination playground and the one that is there currently. Is that slated for any upgrades or anything?
Sure, the existing playground, the one that is behind the merry-go-round theater, so closest to the main entrance, some of that apparatus will be removed this winter because it is beyond useful life and it really can't be repaired up to today's standards. So you'll see some of that will actually disappear this winter. The playground on the island that has been used extensively during all of the concerts that we've had, like literally covered with children, like you couldn't almost see the structure. Though well used and not as old as some of the other structures, that also is now getting to the end of its usable life. We've had several conversations with the Friends of Emerson. They really want to kind of help us support the replacement of that, all that structure, and help really support the destination playground process. As Steve and I have been focused, especially this summer and this spring, Steve Lynch and I have been working pretty extensively on the amphitheater quadrant because there was some interest in that. So that's the current short-term and long-term plan for that, as far as we're trying to divide and conquer all of these projects on the island that we would like to get processed and get in process and get funded.
So I got a question for you, Doug, because I mean, I don't disagree with what Trish says, but we don't know what's gonna get condemned and what's not. How often do they do that? How often do they come in and?
We inspect the facilities once a year.
So once a year, we find these things out. So that went downhill that much in a year then, that it was okay the previous year, or did they not inspect?
Not having a full booking of events in 2020 and 2021, it wasn't used as extensively. And as we looked at it, it had been kind of slowly descending into the ground. But over the last winter, we had some frost damage to the pad that was underneath that released a few of the posts. And once the posts are released, that's it for it.
Elaine?
Yeah, just for my own clarity, if we get the grant that has been submitted, it really isn't for the construction of this stuff. It's for the construction of the infrastructure for this stuff.
So infrastructure in the sense that it is some water, power, sewer, those types of things, but also all of the roadway infrastructure. So the roadways, the pathways, the actual tiered lawn, some of the landscaping that's there, the rehabilitation of the beach area, which really quite desperately needs it. It's everything in that quadrant, including lighting and access to the site and a docking complex, but not the actual physical stage itself. But having the showmobile and having promoters come in and talk to us, they don't necessarily care if we have a stage from a large concert kind of, or a large show, revenue generating show perspective, because some of them travel with their own stages or they would put something on site. So in other words, if that section was completed to our use, then it could be used for any of these things, and larger shows would bring in their own equipment anyways. There's kind of, it would be usable as a venue at the end of this $1.75 million construction project.
Even without this concession stand and the ticket booth and all of that, right? You'd work around those things.
Absolutely.
Anybody else for Doug? Or do you have anything else, Doug?
No.
Nope.
Do you know when that grant might be approved or disapproved?
Generally speaking, they're released somewhere between the end of November and the beginning of December, the CFA application we put in. There's a little bit of a feeling amongst us that we probably might hear before election day because it's an election year. Could be a little earlier this year.
Okay. Have we heard from Dan at all, Dan Bassett?
Not directly about these projects. They're in support of these projects going forward.
Their meeting was this month, September. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Doug. Gary, you want to go back and do your resolutions? I forgot those.
Okay, GW1 authorizing the chair of the Cayuga County Legislature to sign a 3-year renewal agreement with Clean Water Treatment Systems Incorporated to provide HVAC water treatment and Legionella management services for various county-owned buildings.
Move it.
Second.
Okay. Jim and Christina, anybody got any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, carry. PW2.
Okay, PW2 authorizing an agreement with Westminster Presbyterian Church to allow them to utilize the southern edge of the courthouse parking lot located at 9 to 15 William Street of New York for an estimated 4 to 6 weeks to allow a contractor to dig a trench for foundation repair and drainage improvements for the church.
Move it.
Hans.
Second.
Second, Christina. Any questions on that? Jim?
Do, the contractor that's gonna use our parking, just temporarily, is that what-
Yeah, they have to, our parking lot goes right up against the church. So in order to get in there with equipment, the first row of parking spots, they would use that for their equipment to sit on and to dig the hole.
Okay, so I would just request that we take photos of our parking lot, whatever condition it's in,
Okay,
so that if there's
Okay.
damage, we need to hold somebody, you know, sometimes, a parking lot might not be in great shape. And so they don't think they need to take care of it any more than, well, whether it was a piece of junk. So they don't put wood under their dozers or whatever.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You're absolutely right.
And I'm gonna assume, Gary, there's
All right.
something in a contract that says that our parking will be restored.
yeah,
to
they
previous.
agreed to do that. We don't have an agreement right now. So the agreement would have to be approved by the attorney, and that's in the resolution, I believe, it said they're gonna put it back in shape.
Yeah,
They
make sure we
assured me
have
they
that in
would.
writing.
That's an excellent idea. I'll take pictures.
Wisdom right there, Jim. Experience.
As a contractor, now everything, I take pictures before I go onto a site.
Yeah.
Pretty soon the people want new sidewalks, new curbs, and inside of it, saved us.
So that's-
thousands of dollars.
That's in the resolution now. You don't need to change anything or you.
That they're gonna repair it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good with you, Britt?
Yeah, we'll incorporate it all into the agreement once we review it.
All right. So any other questions on PW2?
I had one question, just in terms of displacement of existing county employees that are using that lot. Is there any concern there, or where will they be directed? I know the parking garage is right next door. Is that still free? And just if you could comment on that, I'd appreciate it.
I spoke to the people in the courthouse. I asked their opinion on this and told that what the church was asking. And they were supportive, and they understand that there's 13 parking spots that won't be able to be used during the construction. So, and the parking garage is directly across the street, so it's not too bad to get over there and get it. So she was supportive.
Thanks, Gary.
All right, Jim.
The church parking lot, do we sometimes get to use that too?
It's not a church parking lot, it's our parking lot. The whole
No,
lot
this,
is ours.
this one that's being fixed that butts up to ours, so. There's sometimes people park there too when they're here for county business.
Well, that is.
The only parking lot in that area is the church, is our parking lot. Our parking lot goes directly up to the side of the church. Did I word that so it's confusing? Maybe.
The church parking lot's on the back
Church
side
is
of it.
fixing drainage.
Oh, they're fixing drainage around, okay.
Is that the one between West?
So they have to tear up stuff a little bit.
Yes, that is the church.
It's the parking lot we're talking about. I think it used to be called the Cuddy Building. I don't know what it is.
It is.
Still is.
In Westminster Church.
Still is.
It's that parking lot. It's our parking.
Good.
lot. Yeah. So that's the
I'm
parking
good.
lot we're talking.
Basically, to fix their issue, they have to
Sure.
Yes.
do our parking.
Be neighborly.
All right, so all in favor?
Hi.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Gary. Sorry, I forgot your resolution.
That's okay. I figured we'd get to them.
Brian,
I just want to update my report a little bit. The salt shed, just waiting for the top to be installed. That's gonna happen in October. We were able to get the paving done last week. Oak Hill Road will be finished up this Friday with the paving done. And Tollgate Road, slope failure. I talked with Tim today from Soil and Water, and we expect to see some drawings by the end of the week on that project. And I met with, on snowplow agreements, I met with 2 supervisors, 2 highway superintendents on Thursday. Did some going back and forth. That's what created the men from a 3-year contract to a 1-year contract. That's what we agreed upon. It sounds like we might lose a few towns no matter what we do. But at this point, the contracts have been sent out with Brittany's help. We got them out on Thursday before the supervisors meeting. And we've actually received one back today.
So as we were discussing, the majority of the towns are ready to roll, but there's a few that aren't.
Correct.
Jim,
Are they ready to roll on a 3-year or was this
1 year.
1 year?
1 year. We're gonna go back in the
Kind of-
resolution.
Revisit it?
Yes, we're gonna revisit in April.
Okay.
With a committee formed of 3 supervisors and 2 highway superintendents.
What's the deadline for you to know whether you're gonna have to plow some additional roads or not?
October 11th.
Okay, so October 11th, who's ever on board, go with it, and the rest they can
That's what's in the contract.
figure it out.
Correct.
We gotta move, yeah.
all right, hang on a second, because I don't think we should be discussing PW7 until we actually get to it.
All right, I'll say my comment.
I'm just thinking.
Please retract that from the record.
So finish your report, or if you,
I'm done if anybody has any questions.
okay,
Are we allowed to ask which towns have not, have decided that they won't agree?
Nobody has officially told us that they're not gonna agree.
They'd have
Is
till October
is it
1st.
time and material, the way that you, that's the proposal, or
It's-
some
it's-
amendment to time and
It was,
material?
we negotiated to a per trip agreement. So it's time and materials, but it's based off an average cost per trip.
That was the compromise. you
That was,
made.
yes, correct.
Jim,
My understanding was though that they were gonna get up to a certain amount, whether the trips
Yes.
were less.
Correct.
If it was a light winter, but if it went over, then that, they had to keep track of the trips to get to that amount.
To add up to that amount, and then anything over will be paid out in the second payment in June.
Right. Okay.
all right, so if your report's done, let's go to the resolutions. That way we can discuss them more if need be when we get to it. So PW3.
PW3 is the contract, the mowing contract for Harriet for this current season. I missed it on the first round when I did the first resolution, so we're cleaning up that.
So PW3, give me somebody move it.
Yeah, Basile, move it.
Second.
Second, Christina. Okay, so I'll start the questions on that. So we've been doing this, we just didn't have the contract in place.
Correct.
Okay, so this is just cleaning it up.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else on PW3 question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, PW4.
This is authorizing us to enter into the agreement for the Bridge of New York project on Jericho Road. It's at 95% funded.
Somebody want to move that one?
I'll move it. Basile.
Second.
Any questions on that?
95% funded, you said.
Yeah, I would hope not. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on, PW5.
PW5 is transferring funds from my capital trucks account to my repair account to continue repairing trucks for the rest of the season. With the increase in cost, we're running out.
Somebody want to move that?
Move it.
Okay, Hans and Christina, any questions or concerns there? So that's just basically shuffling money.
Yes.
If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, PW6.
PW6 is authorizing to fill a medium position due to a retirement.
Move it.
Hans,
Second.
second, Christina, any questions there? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? PW7.
PW7 is the resolution authorizing us to amend the contract to a 1-year agreement versus a 3-year agreement.
You want to move that?
I'll move it. Basile.
Second,
Second.
Christina, you two are like on point tonight. Okay, any questions there?
Just that I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Just that if we have a deadline that we hold to that deadline so we can take care of county business if we have to take care of county
It's in the
business.
resolution.
So October 11th, okay. Just move.
And we also called out in this resolution, the committee to be formed of 3 supervisors and 2 highway superintendents, because that was the biggest complaint we received, was the supervisors weren't involved enough in the negotiations.
You should be able to get that.
Does the contract, the 1-year contract now have an automatic clause that if they don't opt out, they're in?
No.
basically it's a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
See if everybody, which everybody never will be happy. If the majority of them that opt in are happy, then we,
And we are gonna achieve our goal. We have actual costs. We're gonna have actual costs put in front of us
I
now
was gonna,
with this per trip. So the per trip was based off from their actual cost plus 25%, without getting into the weeds of everything. That's basically what it is. They're getting 25% more than what it costs them to plow the roads for us.
for District 1, I met with our town supervisors and we discussed it and stuff, and they were much happier with the 1 year to make sure that it was all, not that they were looking to make money, but that they were at least covering their costs. And so that I'm in agreement with the 1 year.
I was just wondering, so will everybody who signs it, everybody will be a 1 year and then we'll try to move forward with a multi-year contract? Okay.
and what do we normally do on our mow? 3 years?
Mowing,
Yeah.
1 year contracts.
We do 1 year every year? Okay,
I want to change that.
Yeah,
I want to get this one done.
yeah, I
I
heard.
see this being a 2 or 3 after a year or two.
It historically has been a 3 to 5 year contract.
I could see that coming up.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, do you have anything else for us, Brian?
Nope, I'm good.
Anybody got anything else for Brian? If not, then motion to adjourn. And
Second, Lucille.
Phil, Christina, take a pick. I will not ask for discussion on that. All in favor?
Am I right?
Any opposed? All right.
2022.
Move it.
Second. Basile?
Any discussions? Opposed? That's what I do. Okay, all right. All right, Steve Lynch.
Thank you. I don't know, are we coming up here?
Wherever you want to go.
Okay.
You're the boss.
I don't have any resolutions tonight. You all have my report. So if there's any particular questions, I'd be glad to answer them to the best that I can. And other than the whole list of ongoing department work, I did have on my report tonight 3 things that are worth noting, and I'm sorry you've seen them. Continuing to work with the state agencies on the watershed rules and regulations. Soil and Water Conservation District is joining those meetings, as is Cornell County Extension and Health Department and so on. Those are ongoing, and I think I put the, I did put the general schedule in there. The Wasco Lake 9 element plan, you saw the front page of the Citizen. That was officially adopted. There's probably going to be 1 or 2 slight content changes, but nothing significant, more like copy changes. And that'll be switched out with the one that's online, but it's basically the same document. So congratulations to all the stakeholders. That was, you know, we got the grant, we kind of led that, but that really involved a whole range of people working together very closely. And as we move forward, I just want to really emphasize that the computer models that came out of that have to be maintained, and the data collection effort to continue to collect data on what's going into the lake so that we can run those computer models, make them a tool for the future, needs to be sustained. And we've been doing that, but I'm just sort of emphasizing that with the committee and the legislature. And last but not least is we've been working with Legislator Muldrow and Legislator Patty Ruffini on the Economic Development Emergency Loan Fund for the grants, not loan fund, I'm sorry, the grants. And we are getting very close to pulling that together and getting that ready. And I believe in my my report, the tentative schedule request in October with award and distribution of funds in the first quarter of 2023. We certainly want to get it right when it goes out the door. We don't want any mishaps or stumbling when we're taking applications in, and rest assured that the group working with CETA as the intake point of contact, we're going to make sure that we get outreach to as many people and many people in the small business community as we can. So we'll see if there's going to be maybe a more defined, we have a meeting coming up this week, I believe, or next week. Tomorrow. We have a meeting coming up tomorrow. And hopefully we'll be able to maybe give a little bit more detail to the legislature at the legislature meeting on the end of the month.
Thank you. Steve, on that particular topic, the legislator will have a chance to see it before it goes out to all the districts.
I defer to the legislators that are here. I
Ryan,
certainly.
The application?
Yeah,
The application?
the whole thing is, I guess, for implementation, I've been keeping in touch with a number of the businesses in District 1, and I want to be sure that I know about it. And it doesn't, someone says, oh, they already got it down, you know. I want to know the communications on that.
And in our communication and distribution plan that we came up with last week, we did include legislators as the group who will be getting that initially.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So just to elaborate on that just a little bit more, all of the legislators will get paper copies and digital copies, and all of the town supervisors, their clerks, village mayors, their clerks, and the city of Auburn and the city clerk will have digital, obviously, and some paper copies available to them so that
if somebody comes to you, Jim, you'll be able to say, I'll email it to you, or I have a copy right here I can give to you.
All right, so for myself, and I don't know how everybody else is, so the reason I was asking about getting it a little bit in advance is I wanted to notify them that it's coming out, and we wanted to schedule a meeting open to, all. I want to hold a meeting at one of the businesses so that they can all come and be invited and be able to hand out those copies. Yet, if they have questions, I can direct them to who they need to go to, and that.
I think what we could do tomorrow is after our meeting tomorrow, we could set, we're gonna set some timetables. It looks like we might be able to be that far along. And we could tell you when we think we're gonna release, hopefully we'll have that information for you. How much time would you like to set something up like that?
I just want to get it a couple days before it goes out.
Okay.
So I can just hit send on an email to all the businesses and say, hey, this thing's coming out in a couple of days. Pay attention to the website, the county
I
website,
think
whatever.
a week is the best we can do. I
If you
think.
give me a week, I'll have more than.
Yeah, so we'll see what we can do. I'm not saying guarantee a week, but I think a week would be the best we can do. Say
That'd be
that's
awesome.
realistic, a couple of days, that's realistic.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank you, Brian and Lydia, and the people that are helping you for putting that together. Appreciate it.
Anybody more questions?
Questions?
Yeah.
We'll let Elaine go first.
You sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
A 9-element plan and the continuation of the specimens and the data that you're going to be collecting. There was some initial concern that this stuff being collected by Dr. Halfman wasn't going through a calibration or a lab, or, is that going to be, I know that Michelle had to work through all of that. Is that going to be allowable, that the Halfman specimens and the work that's already been doing will continue to be the data that can be submitted?
No.
Okay.
What we will be doing is we're working right now to make sure that the data that we collect going forward, just like the data that we collected recently that is behind the modeling and the 9E plan, will come from certified labs.
Okay, that was the glitch, and that now is
Right.
corrected going forward.
Right. Well, there are certified
Right.
labs.
Right.
The challenge with certified labs is it costs more money to get the data from certified labs than it does to work with Dr. Halfman to use his graduate students to do the work.
Right.
I think the graduate student work that's done at Dr. Halfman's labs is bona fide, but the DEC will not, say that is worth making, you can't make policy on that. You need certified data. So we're going to go forward working with AULA and some other entities to make sure that the data that's collected will continue to be from certified
And the
labs.
cost associated with that comes from the county? That's to be determined, or?
I think it's somewhat to be determined. We have been funding some of that work through the Finger Lakes, Lake Ontario Watershed Protection Alliance, FLOPA money. We have been doing some of that through in Cayuga Lake through the legislature budget that passed for the last 2 or 3 years. We've been working with Citizen Science Institute out of Tompkins County because they're a certified lab. And AULA has, in the last year, had a grant to, take up samples. The Management Council brings them to the lab in Syracuse at Upstate Freshwater Institute, and that's a certified lab. That grant is running out, so we're looking at, okay, how can we continue to, use these certified labs?
And pay for the costs
And pay for
associated
it.
with it.
Just generally, the cost for the sampling protocols for Owasco Lake are approximately $20,000 a year.
But at this point, to not go forward with this would be.
It would be taking a
Yes.
tool and
Yes.
making it of
Yes,
no
useless.
use
Yes,
going forward.
gotcha. Okay.
Steve?
Just wanted to take a minute to thank Carrie Terwilliger for her efforts on our LWRP for the Village of Fairhaven. It was, she was relentless in making trips, winter, summer, or fall up to our area. And she got it submitted. So it was not an easy project.
I will share that. I will share that with her. We're very proud of the work that Harry does.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly Kane.
Thanks, Steve.
I just have a couple of updates from my report. The first thing is to highlight September is National Workforce Development Professionals Month. So what we're doing at the Career Center is we're coordinating a meet and greet event to invite all of the county high schools. We're going to send out invitations to the guidance counselors and invite them into our center. So we're going to have the meet and greet starting in late afternoon and go into the early evening, so we can allow for kids to get out of school and parents to get out of work and come in and learn about our center. We're gonna base it around a fall theme and kind of make it fun to entice some of the kids to come, but also going to invite local businesses and county departments and different agencies so they can kind of see what we do. So the point of Workforce Professionals Month is to kind of highlight our industry. So, you know, we're always highlighting the different sectors and industries in the community, but we forget to, you know, pat ourselves on our backs for what we do to make the community aware of what we can do to help people get back into work. So that's kind of the highlight of the month. And that's what we're probably not going to do the event until October, but we're in the planning stages of that now, and I'll send out more information. The other thing I wanted to highlight is more staff are back into the Career Center. We've been talking about this since COVID and even pre-COVID. We haven't had a business services rep in our office since long before COVID. That Department of Labor role was kind of phased out, and we're bringing them back in. So hopefully that will allow us to bring more business interaction into the Career Center and use them as a resource to connect with businesses. So they'll be coming back into the center. It's been a long time coming. And we also have our Disability Veterans Outreach Coordinator coming. So we'll have 2 veterans representatives on site, and they've also added another person into the Department of Labor staff. So it's nice to see some of the cubicles filled back up again. We were very bare bones. It's bringing more activity into the center. We're doing in-person workshops finally in October. We haven't done any since pre-COVID. We're keeping them to about 2 hours, but we are offering 5 in-person workshops now. So that's excellent news for us. And then also, we have been producing some marketing information to really push our on-the-job training program. So we've been meeting with local businesses to kind of, you know, educate them on the programs that we have that we can help supplement some of their wages, offset their costs while they're training, you know, filling the gaps and needs of our customers. And it gives them an incentive to hire someone that doesn't have all the skills. So we're meeting with area businesses to kind of promote and push that program. We'd like to really utilize it with our youth. So that's something that's kind of new coming down the pipeline. And then the last thing I have to update is September ends our month for being able to spend our TANF dollars. So we did employ 53 seasonal youth employees out into the community. Lots of success stories. A lot of the kids were 14 years old. We had some we had to fire, and we had some that, we had some crazy stories, but then we had some great successes. We had Loretto hire one of our kids. She's in high school. They loved her, and they're keeping her on, and she's working after school and on the weekends. So that to me is excellent. She's thrilled. She's working in the kitchen, and she wants to work in healthcare. So it was her way as a 14, 15-year-old to get into see the healthcare industry, even though it's in the kitchen. So those were all great stories. And we have about 11 kids working through the end of this month, and then we'll wrap up the TANF program for the year. And that's it. I like that.
Hi, thank you very much for what you sent over for the Canal Day. It was appreciated, and we did hand some things out. The meet and greet event that you're going to be doing in October, would it be okay if we got notified by email that that is happening?
Yes, absolutely. We'll send out invitations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jim?
Thank you. The 2 things, one, the state, they have, they're doing more than one meeting a day or?
They're still doing one meeting a day.
I was waiting for you for that.
All right. I was exasperated by that. But anyways, the high school thing.
Yes.
So up in our area, Sterling, Fairhaven, you know, a lot of our high school students go to Red Creek, which is in Wayne County. Are you going to be reaching out to the students that are in Cayuga
We do.
County?
Yep, we had several youth working in Red Creek School. It's actually one of our work sites. So we have kids on our caseload that live and they go to Red Creek, but they live in Cayuga County. We do service them. And they're a work site of ours, so in Fairhaven, Village of Fairhaven too. Yes.
Thank you.
Kelly, how many kids can you guys service? What's your capacity of how many kids enrollment you looking in this program?
So we have 2 youth programs. The TANF program is strictly money from the state. That's money that we get in May and we have to spend it by the end of September, in and out. And those are kids that are in school or out of school, but they have to meet income guidelines. We served 53 in this time period. That's what we were able to spend in order to not go over our allocation. For the year-round program for youth, it depends. So some of the youth we serve don't cost us any money, right? Helping them with job readiness, getting them, enrolled in GED, those services don't cost any money. So it's unlimited enrollment. In terms of paid work experience, in that case, my budget allows probably for close to $50,000 up to 600 hours if they're eligible. They have to meet barriers to qualify for that. So it's hard for me to give you a number. My goal would be to serve 10 in this budget year, and our budget runs July to June. So if we serve 10, that's excellent. There are years that in paid work experience, we've served 2. So 10 is great. Probably don't have funds to serve more than that at the 600 hours. We pay them the minimum wage and their fringes. So we would exhaust our budget. But a lot of our services don't cost any money out of our budget except for staff time wages and our salaries. But in terms of paid work, I wouldn't think we could serve more than 10 in a budget year.
Is the goal to hire a person and then hopefully they transition to a full-time position?
So the
Or
vision
part-time?
depends.
They end up, like, the goal is not for them to work their 600 hours or whatever and then
say goodbye to them. No, so the vision and the process would be, and of course with kids, it doesn't always go as we plan, but the ideal situation would be that we start with them and we don't enroll them in paid work experience because they're probably not ready for it. And we don't want to set them up for an unsuccessful event. So we would work with them and do some pre-employment and some soft skills. We would put them in a paid work experience. We mentor them, we visit them, we work with them in the worksite supervisor, and we become their coach, so to speak. And then ideally, the job could turn into something for them, but otherwise it's something for them to put on their resume, skills that they've gained, and it helps bridge some of the gaps that they may have had and gets them a reference. A lot of our work sites are in civil service, right? So we utilize the county buildings and grounds for a lot of our work sites. They're probably not going to be able to hire. Actually, they have hired them, but it's really to get them skills, and then we help them find suitable employment in the community. Often their work site does lead to a job offer because if they do a great job, I mean, that would be the icing on the cake, is that they do that. And then they get paid work experience. They become a county employee, whether they work in this building, they work at the Thrifty Shopper, it doesn't matter. They could work at the YMCA. The county becomes their employer under the supervision of our department. And then once they've exhausted their work experience, the next step, which would be amazing, would be to do an on-the-job training, right? So then we continue to employ them, or actually the company employs them, but we reimburse half their wage. So we're paying them 100%. Then they transition to the company, we can pay them 50% back to the company, and then they become an employee of their own. So that would be the ideal transition. And then they have support with us. And then when they aren't in paid work experience anymore, we follow along with them, right? We don't just say goodbye. We follow along with them for 2 years under the federal guidelines. And we work with them on retention because we can get someone a job, youth or grownups, it doesn't matter. I mean, think about somebody goes to work, we get them in there, but then how do we keep the job? right? What do I do with my first paycheck when you're 14 or 15 or 18 or 21 without guidance or have barriers? We can't just say, here you go. So we work with them on all of those things. A lot of our kids are homeless. That's how they are eligible. Parenting in foster care system. They're not capable yet to be able to just go to work and then move on with their life. So we stay with them for 2 years and make it more of a full experience so that they are successful.
Anything else for Kelly? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike's here, Miller, but you have any updates, Mike? Anything at all?
Sure. If you don't mind. Update. Good evening, everyone. So for those of you that haven't, quite yet, my apologies if I haven't had a chance to meet with you yourself. I'm Michael Miller. I'm the new executive director here at CETA. Some brief updates from our team here. Our existing businesses assisted through year to date end of August is 43. We've assisted 31 entrepreneurs through this year, the same timeline as well. For the CFAs that were submitted, we assisted on several of those applications. 2 were for the Empire State Development incentives. 1 was for the Canal incentive. 1 for New York Power Authority, in addition to assistance for 1 market, New York. We provided both direct and indirect advisory assistance for 5 out of the 7 applications that were submitted. Additionally, we're continuing to keep a pulse on the New York Forward and the DRI as developments are occurring during this time here. Some of the larger projects that we're continuing to work through right now is that the CCIDA received the award in July. We're working with our internal partners right now to act in accordance with the EDA reporting guidelines so that phase 2 of the project can begin next year without issue. CMI and CCIDA has begun initial resolutions for their project expansion, and we'll hopefully have some more updates on that going into next month. Park Grove LLC and Auburn Community Hospital have engaged CCIDA for the oncology and radiation building. Initial resolution has been passed, and we have a public meeting set for September 19th of this month. Maureen Reeser, who's here with me, she and I presented to the Association of Mayors on August 23rd of this last month here, providing an overview of what CETA is, what we can offer, and more importantly, how they can pass along this information to the businesses within their villages there. We will be presenting at the New York Farm Bureau annual meeting in October next month. To provide some updates on agriculture within Cayuga County, its importance, and some ongoing developments going on there. Lastly here, there was a kickoff meeting for the Red Sea, that is the Regional Economic Development Council Central New York Workforce Committee. This is focused on strategies for advanced manufacturing and smart system clusters, formerly known as the Internet of Things here. This committee right now is focused on identifying and recommending participants for focus groups going into the future. That is by and large the high level objects I have.
Any questions for Mike?
The presentation that you gave to the Association of Mayors,
Mm-hmm.
is that something that you could email me?
I can.
Not a formal presentation.
It was a live presentation. It wasn't recorded or anything. We do have a PowerPoint, and it is actually something we've talked about, having recorded presentations and materials that we can help distribute throughout the county and our partners. So if we're not able to be there in person, we can at least have this available.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Doug.
See you.
Hey, Doug.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Doug, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. All right, well, good evening.
Doug are kind of chummy. I can say, hey, Doug. A chummy relationship.
We've already had one Doug earlier, right? Kind of, rolls in. So still wrapping up construction season. Weather's been great. Limping the boat along for our aquatic weed harvesting. We're finishing up Cayuga Lake. Hopefully Thursday, early morning. We've got a mechanic coming out tomorrow to install a fuel pump on the boat and calibrate on that. So, and then we got Lake Como. I talked to them last week. They still want us to go do a little cleanup because people still fishing down there, kayaking. And then we're gonna move it to Cross Lake. This time of year up at Cross Lake, if anybody's been there, other than the sheer amount of eagles that go flying around that water body, there's a lot of drifting water chestnut that comes down and collects on that lake. It's unbelievable. We've heard about it through the Water Quality Management Agency for years through Carl Rosales, the Cross Lake rep. So using some FLOPA money, we're gonna go in and try and help the big problem that they have over there. We're working with Onondaga County Soil and Water Conservation District to facilitate some offloading spots, some dumping spots, and some where to launch our boat. So that's coming up hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll be off the water. Did finish a couple large stream projects. We got a couple more stream projects to go. Weather for the next 10 days or so looks actually pretty good. So we're going to try and knock out a small stream bank project on the Wasco Lake Inlet down in Locke. And then try and get into Hemlock Creek if we can. We have the permits. We got a couple week extension to be able to work in the streams because it's been fairly dry, and we already have a good game plan going forward to help mitigate some of the flooding down there. Worked with the DEC. They're going to give us a little bit of a buffer. So we're out of there by mid-October. We'll try and knock those projects out. I don't know if Doug mentioned it earlier in his report, but we do have the bridge coming up there for the Kettle Brutus Trail. So we got a little site prep work we have to do in advance of that. That would be the last bridge that goes in. So we got some bank stabilization, some trail mate. Got to make a little bit of a roadway trail to get in there so the crane can get in there and offload the bridge abutments and put the bridge up. So that's time sensitive. And then we're trying to wrap up some of the other ag projects we've been working on. So, and then a couple more projects we're going to try and fit in by the end of the year and get started, including one for the city of Auburn. It just came up at Standard Woods. We noticed the stream bank was eroding pretty significantly in an area that led to the exposure of sewer mains. So we're going to try and get in there and help the city out. Armor, I can't remember the exact number, but it's over a couple 100 feet worth of stream bank in between some of the buildings. So they're going to retrofit and move the pipe back, and we're going to go in there and armor that so it doesn't keep eroding towards the buildings. Hopefully mitigate some of the flooding issues too. There's a lot of debris in there, a lot of gravel in there that came in from the storms that would back the water up. So we're going to try and redesign that stream corridor on an emergency permit basis and help them out too. So try and get all that done before the snow starts flying. I know it's a bad word, but we know it's coming. That's a downside. So we're going to do what we can while we can. So with that, go ahead, take it.
Any questions for Doug?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Did you have an opportunity to get Port Byron comments scheduled for this fall?
It's on the list.
Okay.
It's
Excellent.
just a matter of how these other projects go.
Excellent. Thank you.
Just takes a little while.
Just was wondering how the internship program went this summer. Is that concluded? And
Yeah, well, it went great. One student went back to school. She was with us from ESF. Did a great job, did all the evaluation of the fire lanes, got all the fire lanes on Wasco Lake evaluated, developed a ranking system along with our staff. We have the projects ranked, and we're gonna be going down that list to see, how the funding will fit in and really what's needed, and start working on a schedule for next year's implementation. So great. One of the other gentlemen is still with us. He's in between. He did a couple of years of school at CCC. Is just trying to see what direction he wants to go at that point. Does he want to stay in the workforce, become a technician, and work his way up through the system? Does he want to go back to school? So we're trying to work with him on that. He's excellent.
Good.
That worked out well.
Thank you.
Anything else for Doug? Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Doug.
You want to do his resolution?
Your resolution?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Okay. All right.
I don't bring too many forward, so it is. Thanks for bringing that.
Looks like,
up. It works.
Looks like 9 PL2 is getting pulled to Ways and Means, and so PL1. This is my first time in this position, so what do I do? So I vote on it, or do you want me to read it? Or?
They'll discuss it and then get a motion.
All right. All right, so motion for PL one.
All right, for PL one, we talked about it last month a little bit with the cost of the new weed harvester that we were looking to purchase with the ARPA funding. So when the quote came back in, it was $165,000, a little bit shy of that, higher than what we expected from the year before. So we kind of discussed it last month, and then I was encouraged to bring this forward. So brought that to the table for discussion and
I'll move it.
Second, Mark.
Any discussions? And any opposed?
All in favor.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Done.
Questions?
Quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, sorry, Bob.
What's the timeline on this?
So the boat is being constructed now. A boat that would fit our needs is being constructed now. If we
Okay.
get funding, that'll be our boat.
Okay.
It'll be ready for the spring, be ready to go. I
Excellent.
can't line up the funding or had to look for it. They would probably look for another buyer of it and then we would just be back in line.
Good news. Thank you.
Anything else?
All right, thank you.
Dan online? Dan, you here?
Hi, here, Brian.
There you go.
I'm hiding.
Good evening, everyone. Couple things to highlight. On relatively short notice, I was approached by the New York State Department of Ag and Markets and Cornell Cooperative Extension Administration to operate the milk bar at the New York State Fair for this year's fair. So we served 14,500 gallons of milk, which equates to, I forget the exact numbers in the report. I think it was about 280,000 cups of milk. Seemed like more than that on some of the days I was there. But the New York State Fair will be reimbursing us for all our expenses. We did have to hire 16 temporary staff to make that happen. And the reason that I was approached about it was because of the importance of dairy industry to Cayuga County, both in terms of production and the processing side of things. So we'll be I'll be working with my board on assessing what that might mean going forward. This was kind of a last minute thing that they just need somebody who could get some milk in cups without people getting upset about it not being there for this year. Another thing, there will be an electronics collection event on October 1st that we're working on with the planning department. We, as of noon today, 463 people had already signed up. So that means probably we'll have about like 140 slots left. We're gonna have a few more than we did last year because with, not sure if it's related to COVID or just, some other things. We had more individuals than usual not show up. So we're gonna add some spots later in the week for folks. And then there'll also be the household hazardous waste collection event later in October.
Yeah.
Where do we find out more information about the electronics collection event?
It's on the planning department website. I think we posted it to our social media, but I can send you the flyer.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just since we brought up the website, the reason it's not on our website, we're actually transitioning website platforms this month. So we'll have a brand new website come hopefully right in the first part of October.
So just on the serving of the milk at the state fair, congratulations on getting selected. Did they still go for 25 cents a cup?
Yes,
So that was $71,375 you produced for the state fair
yes,
by volunteering time too. So figure out your expenses.
right. That's what we're working on. And that's one of the reasons we were asked to do it is the state is very adamant about it staying at 25 cents, which makes it difficult for a private vendor to
Sure.
make that cash flow.
Were there any opportunities to promote Cayuga County and the dairy?
A little bit. We're going forward, we'll do more of that. It was, at least for this first year, a little bit of a learning experience working with the public affairs staff at the fair and what you can say and what you can't say. Especially leading up to the fair, and they kind of loosen up a little bit. Now I know after the governor comes, then I could have done more of that, but yeah, we're gonna be doing more of that. I was able, and not that it was, that widely probably noted, they did a press release, I think, 2 days before the fair, and I had some dairy facts in there, but that probably gets lost in the big news about having strawberry milk this year.
It was delicious.
I'm glad you got that.
Anything else for Dan?
Thank you.
Thanks. Karen, this says no updates. Do you have anything for us, Karen, though?
I do. I'm sorry I did not submit my report
drop something.
timely.
I think you're bad. Oh.
I will pass along the report after the fact. I apologize for that, but I do have some updates and some rather fun ones, hopefully. At the beginning, I always present our occupancy numbers. They continue being very good. We're one little tick underneath 2021, but our ADR, which is our average daily rate, continues increasing, which means that the hotels are able to sell their rooms for more every year. Therefore, the bottom line continues growing. This is kind of conference season. We'll be attending several conferences in the next couple of months, in the next month or two, yeah. So I just want to give you an idea of the conferences that we go to, the kind of content we get from those. We will be going, Claire Dunlap, our marketing manager, will be going to Toronto for the C conference. That's a conference that talks a lot about user-generated content. And that has a lot to do with social media, which is a lot of what we do. So this conference always focuses a lot on the marketing and how you can use the content to get more interest. She will also be attending the Erie Canal conference in Rochester. That creates a lot of partnerships for us, although in Cayuga County, our portion of the Erie Canal is small compared to many other counties. It is a significant product for us. So we do like to continue having partnerships with the product and the kind of content. We'll also be attending a special function that the Erie Canal Heritage Corridor is putting together for the Finger Lakes partners that are along the Erie Canal, to establish better partnerships and ways that we can support our marketing messages out there. The New York State Tourism Industry Alliance conference will be happening in New York City in October, and that is prime opportunity to engage with the rest of the state and what the state is doing in other positions like ours around the state and the kind of programs that they do. Piggybacking on that, the New York International Travel Show will be happening right after it. And we had an opportunity to attend as part of the regional representation. So we'll be representing the Finger Lakes region as well as Cayuga County to international tour operators interested in the state. We are currently and will be for the rest of the year working on 2 different co-op partnerships that will benefit our partners. One of them is what they call travel trade activation. The travel trade are the tour operators, both national and international, both that work with individual travelers as well as with group travelers. So this is helping our partners, hotels, restaurants, and attractions prepare for these kinds of outreach, teaching them how to the right language, the right interactions, the right price points to do in order for them to be able to sell their destination, their location better. And the other one is what we call a digital footprint. Every business, but especially tourism businesses, depend very much on their digital presence, such as your Google listing, your Yelp listing, your ratings. So this research that we did, intensive research on 250 locations around the county, trying to figure out how they're tracking compared to other places. And we'll be having an opportunity for them to engage with this research company one-on-one to help improve their listing. The goal, of course, is that people, as they're traveling through, will be able to find our locations faster and easier. Just like, you're out visiting Rochester and you want to have a cup of coffee, you pull out your phone, you go to Google search coffee near me. The better your place is listed, the more likely you'll get to the top. And we want to make sure our partners have that ability. The rest of them are very joint subjects. We've been working, as you know, in positioning Auburn, New York, and therefore Cayuga County as Harriet Tubman's chosen hometown. In this effort, we have collaborated with the Underground Railroad Consortium of New York State to put in one of the EDA award tourism grants to develop the Harriet Tubman Byway. This would be a tourism product from New York City all the way to Niagara Falls, passing right through Cayuga County, identifying locations that are related to the Harriet Tubman story and the Underground Railroad. Maryland developed this byway in 2018, I believe, and they have reaped extreme economic development benefits. I've been in contact with the Maryland tourism director, and they have an economic impact study that will blow your mind. This product is sought after. It is very well respected. Rochester County is our sister state park, the Harriet Tubman National Underground Railroad Park, and here we, of course, have the Harriet Tubman National Historical Park. They are sister parks. Harriet Tubman is the only individual that has 2 national parks named after her. So we're working this in collaboration with them as well. And Dorchester County is where the park is located. Cayuga County is where the other park is located. And Dorchester County is the one that benefits the most of this byway. And it crosses the state, it goes into Pennsylvania, it goes into Rhode Island, I believe, as well. So the ultimate goal of this effort is to join it from Maryland all the way to Niagara Falls into Canada, which was Harriet Tubman's route. And this product would position us and be competitive in the international tourism, which we haven't really been. Our niche has always been regional, Northeast. But with this product, and this is of interest by international tour operators, we'll be able to be in a lot more of these plans are going on. And we're talking a big potential economic development in our area because of being part of this. It will take a while. If we do not get this grant that we applied for, it will take even longer. So we will definitely be reaching out and looking for financial support if we don't get this grant.
What's the size of the grant?
1.5 million. Wow. Yeah. It is significant work.
How did you say that loud?
Yeah.
I know what it was. So it's 1.5 million.
Yes.
Is there any type of participation on our part, or is it just?
Not at the moment. If we get the grant, we should be good to have a pretty smooth development. The reason why the grant is so big is because it does require a lot of on-the-ground work. In order to get the byway designated as a scenic byway, we need to get resolutions from every township, every city that crosses the byway. We need to have an in-depth topographical study. We need to have in-depth study of every signage that is on the side of the road because they get grandfathered in. For example, Bob's Pizza Shop has a sign on the side of the road 2 miles down from their business. That road is allowed to be there if it was there before the scenic byway, but we need to get documentation of every single mile along the byway in order to have that documented for those to be brought in. We also need letters of support. We need every legislature involved in the entire process. The benefit is that we're not doing this. We are a leading partner in doing this along with the New York State Underground Railroad Consortium, and they have membership throughout the entire state. This byway, if it does go through, would hit every single economic development region in the state. So it's significant. It would be one of the I believe, as big, if not bigger than the Seaway Trail, which is, goes along the Great Lakes. So this would be a significant work, and we're talking about years in the making.
Is this a one-time grant or is it paid over?
But there's a one-time, well, no, it's paid over 3 years.
Over 3 years?
Yes, yeah. But it is a one-time grant opportunity. New York State will not be doing these grants again. So.
Let us know anything we can do to help.
Thank you. Like I said, if we don't get the grant, we will need financial support. If we do get the grant and we start moving, we would need a lot of involvement from each one of your areas potentially, and letters of support and talking to the higher ups to make sure it is. This has gotten a lot of support from many areas. I've gotten a lot of calls. Actually, on Friday, we have a call set up with Delaware, New Jersey, Maryland, Pennsylvania, I don't know if I said Rhode Island, and New York State, to talk about the grand opportunity of it being a national scenic byway and joining all those together. So we'll be in the call. It is being set up by the Department of Transportation with other Department of Transportation representatives of each of the state. And we're of course part of the conversation because we would be the biggest by far in New York State. Along with that, in the same spirit of that, I should say, I've mentioned before that we will be hosting the Travel Unity Summit here in December. The Travel Unity Summit talks about inclusivity in the tourism industry. It is the Travel Unity Northeast Summit, and we've gotten confirmation of participation from Boston, Newport, and Portland. So we will be having multiple Northeast states coming to Auburn in December to have these conversations about tourism. So we're very proud that we've gotten that support as well. Any questions?
Right, I got 2 requests up, Karen. Karen, when I met with you, you brought several booklets, tourism booklets. Can you bring them? I know I'm giving you a presentation on the 27th.
Absolutely.
Can you bring them in and give them to each legislator, 2 or 3 of them?
Absolutely, be happy to.
And could you talk about the award that Aurora, Village of Aurora just won on the New York State visitation?
The Village of Aurora or the Inns of Aurora?
Inns of Aurora.
Yeah, the Inns of Aurora, I
Yep.
believe,
That's what
we're
I meant.
talking about the same one. Travel and Leisure, one of the premier tourism publications in the world, really, gave the Inns of Aurora the best hotel in New York State. So we have definitely been very proud of that and been promoting it. They definitely deserve it. They are, what I like to say, luxury, but with personality. They're definitely very open, very accepting. You go to some locations and, there's luxury that they just put their nose up. They really only want to deal with their own, where the Inns of Aurora has always been a very inclusive destination that is very open and supportive. Their staff is top notch. They've always been very collaborative in all of our efforts. So all that on top of now getting the New York State Best Hotel. We're proud to have them in our county. Something to brag about.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it is also, thank you for reminding me, National Underground Railroad Month. September is National Underground Railroad Month. And we'll be doing a proclamation. Thank you very much for that. The city of Auburn is also doing a proclamation coming up. And we did get in with New York State, and they do plan on doing one as well, where Harriet Tubman will no doubt be talked about as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Karen.
A lot of good information. Thank you.
I think I got,
Happy to wrap up the meeting.
I think I got this part, Dave. Motion adjourned.
Second.
You got it.
All right, no discussions, we're out.
All in favor?
All in favor.
Aye. Nice job, Ryan.
Good job, Brian.
Okay.
Yeah.